What's happening, people? Welcome back. It's Tottenham versus Manchester City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Huge game for both. Tottenham could get dragged into a relegation battle. No team is too good to go down. Man City are fighting, chasing Arsenal. You're looking to close that gap and keep with them this weekend. So huge for both. A draw does neither. No good. Stay tuned to the very end to hear my thoughts, both on City this season, on this game, predicted lineup, what my preferred lineup would be, and combined 11 as well between both teams, of course, to round it off with the score prediction. Please do get involved. Without further ado, let's get straight into it then. So I just want to make it crystal clear. I don't like to tell people what to do, but I think we should be all behind Thomas Frank and the players for this game. There should be no situation. I don't think that we want Man City to win this game. Do we want Arsenal to win the title? Of course not. But 2 years ago, completely different situation ultimately that we are in. The thing is, then it's different because of the stage of the season it's in. This is February. It's not May. It's not April. It's not near the end of the season. We're in a situation right now we cannot afford to keep losing games. Teams below us are picking up points, and they will continue to do so. It'll get uncomfortable. Our next 4 games are incredibly difficult. And then, look at our next 6. Some games are after this. Of course, Man City this weekend, Man United, Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, even Palace. Tough games these are, where we're not expected to get a result. You expect to lose most of them that I've just listed. And that is a problem. We're only 8 points from safety. On the positive side, only 9 points away, about 9 or 10 from the European places. So I want to say I'm confident, but I'm not. Based on how we played in the league, we now need to transfer this strong Champions League form into the Premier League, where we take a pause in Champions League football as we've completed the league phase. There's been nothing for over a month, so this is where we need to keep the Champions League form, but in the Premier League, because although I'm glad we're doing well in the Champions League, the reality is we shouldn't be where we are 14th, and I worry about us going lower rather than higher. It could get worse before it gets better. We've got to make sure that is not the case. Key game. I think we have it in us to get a result, even with the players we've got out. I do believe that City, of course, missing key players: Ruben Dias, Savinha, Doku, just a few to name a few there. But it's going to be a tough game, no doubt about it. I think there's fragility in that City defence. There's vulnerability, let's just say, but they bought so well in January. I mean, we should be jealous and we should be in admiration because we've done absolutely nothing compared to what City have done, really. And we've Gallagher and Sousa happy, but it's not the level of Semenyo, who apparently after, and Gay. That's the levels, and Gay will sort out their defensive problems because City and Semenyo will take the pressure as well, being a good attacking player off the defense. So on to this game. What would my lineup be? Difficult. Well, the back three, let's just say the formation has worked. I know we didn't get a result against Burnley, but it looked good. But I think the best way to defeat City is with a 4, which has served Spurs so well under recent managers. And of course, this has been a favourable fixture for Spurs in recent years. We've got the better of Pep Guardiola, home and away, in particular at home, but both. But in recent years at home, we haven't. Under Ange Postecoglou, the last couple of times we have lost to Manchester City. So let's not pretend that Tottenham have a perfect and immaculate record against Man City. It's quite the contrary. It's not the case at all anymore. I'll go Vic in goal, Spence at right back, and Doggy at left back, Romero and Dancer as the centre backs. Van der Ven is touch and go. Apparently, the last we heard, touch and go, 50-50, last minute decision. I wouldn't take the risk. I do not want him to play, and he's out for 2 or 3 months, if not longer. That'd be an absolute disaster. We need him for these tough games. Ideally, of course, you want him in this game, but I just think you've got to take that precaution before it sabotages our season. Dancer comes in, does a solid job, and I really like him. I think he can deal with Haaland along with Romero. I'll go Gallagher and Palini in midfield. Gallagher, he's come in for 2 or 3 games now. Now needs to start performing. Hasn't hit the ground running. I think that's understandable. I play Odebear right wing, Sarr in the 10, where he used to play Xavi on the left and Solanke up top. Frank said that Solanke is okay, so hopefully he starts. I mean, column 1, he scores in the Champions League, but 0 league goals. I don't think he's the right player to play against Man City. Sarr at the earlier part of the season, before it kind of went off the boil and problems back at home with family, with friends and family, etc. Sarr was really good in that 10 role, and I think could be key. And Sarr brings that energy box to box. Gallagher brings fight and passion and tiny bit of passing quality, and Palini is kind of sitting holding. It's harsh and grey, but those 3 could work well. And Simmons, of course, I do prefer him in the 10, but it's a needs much situation, and I think he can still utilise him on the left hand side. That would be my team. I think Frank will go with that back 3. I think he'd kind of play like a 3-5-2, so a little bit different in the way that the 1 in that 3 in midfield would be a little bit higher, I don't think he'd take the risk either on Van der Ven. I think he'd play Paulinho once again. It's at right centre back, Romero and Danso alongside. I think he'd go to Doggy left back, Spence right back. So nothing new in that aspect with Porro still out, unfortunately. Hopefully, be back for the North London derby. I think it'd go Gray and Gallagher. I think, and then Xavi there. I think Paulinho is good in that three. Makes sense. Having said that, though, he didn't get too many tests against Dortmund or Frankfurt. Yeah, Frankfurt, he was there. He didn't get too many tests against Frankfurt. Let's just say, but this game will be, of course, more tested. So you have to see whether he's right for that position or not, that right centre back. If not, we can change it and put him in midfield. With Gray, Gallagher and Simmons, I like that kind of three. And Oda Bear has played, can play anywhere, really, left, right, and I think can play with Solanke up front. That's what I think Frank will go with. Not necessarily what I'd do, but I think it does make sense. What do you think Frank will go with? Let me know in the comments below. I do two combined 11s, and this one is more relevant because it just includes players that are currently fit. If you're injured or suspended, you cannot be in this team. Van der Ven is in there because he's touch and go, but if he's unavailable, of course, he wouldn't be allowed to be if he's definitely unavailable. So I'll read it out then and then talk you through it. Donnarumma in goal, Spence right back, Van der Ven left back, bit cheating there. Romero and Gahey as the centre backs. Rodri, Paulinho, and Xavi Simmons in midfield. And Cherky, Haaland, and Semenya up top. All City front line, and Spurs dominated back line. I think it tells a story of the way that both teams played the game. Donnarumma is a good goalkeeper. I think he's made not a few mistakes, but he's letting a few too many goals of his liking. He come into the club and he kept off the clean sheets along with that back line, and now he'd be frustrated that City now concede one or two, usually one on a regular basis. But bringing Mark Gay in, who's in this team, will change that. So Donnarumma over. I like Vicario. Vicario is a decent goalkeeper, but Donnarumma is close to a world class or very good, let's just say, in crucial goalkeeper. Cheating with playing Van der Ven left back, but I wanted to get Gay in there. It wouldn't have been fair to have an all Spurs back line. Diaz, of course, been unavailable anyway. Otherwise, he would have been close to getting in here, I'm sure. Porro as well would have been in there, but it was, of course, unavailable. So Spence going right back. Mateus Nunes is back. I see him as more midfielder. Again, his mate do for City at right back, and he's done well there, but I'd rather Jed Spence there. I think he's a good, much better fullback by nature, bread and butter. Let's just say Romero no doubt gets in there. Yes, I'm confident in that back line. I think Van der Ven can still do a job like he does for his national team, Netherlands, at left back. And Rodri and Paulinho, it was really difficult. Of course, Rodri, Ballon d'Or winner, and you would pick him, wouldn't you, over Paulinho probably every day, as good as Paulinho has been for us. But the reality is Rodri's been injured for large parts of the season and he hasn't been at his best. Let's just say it how it is. And Paulinho's had a better season in my eyes, but I put them both in there. Rodri for his kind of career and Paulinho for the season he's having. Also, he's had a good career. Simmons for me, he's all turned a corner recently, and with a lot of creative players out for both teams, Doku, etc. And for Tottenham, Madison, Kulusevski, Simmons, definitely room for him in this team. And the front line, I am confident in Cherky, Haaland, and Semenya. The only one close to getting in there for Spurs would have been Wilson Odebear. You could say maybe Tell as well, but Semenya for me is a fantastic player. He's started his City career really well, started well. And Cherky, I think, is just absolute quality. I like Odebear, but Cherky's more quality. Odebear's done really well, though. So, of course, feels harsh on him, but the reality is City's attack is 10 times better than ours, even if we think ours is good. That's the real thing. So, yeah, that's I try to be balanced, Spurs and City 11. And here's my other Spurs and City 11. How this works then is if both squads, everyone was fit and available, is out of everybody. So this is tough. And it is a little bit, maybe me being a Spurs, I'm a bit biased in here, but I tried not to be. So Donnarumma in goal. Tell you what, I'll just talk you through the changes. So coming in is Pedro Porro, Guardiola, Madison, and Kulusevski. So it's 4 changes. So the whole team looks like Donnarumma in goal, Porro right back, Guardiola left back, Romero and Van der Ven as the centre backs, Rodri, Madison, Kulusevski in midfield, and Cherky, Haaland, Semenya. So there we go then. It's a Spurs dominated defence, back 4, really, with 3 members in there. Spurs dominated midfield with 2 in there, but City dominated attack with 3 out of 3. So yeah, I'll talk about those changes. Guardiola for me is great. Can play centre back, left back. Really like him. Again, I don't think he's been as influential this year. Same with Rodri. I think City have struggled a little bit at patches this year. I think they've shown real signs of weakness defensively, but I do like Joseph Guardiola. I think he's a really good player, and Gay's good, and it feels harsh to leave him out. But the reality is, Romero, Van der Ven, Gay, and Guardiola all deserve to be in there. I was tempted to go to back 3, but again, it would have been difficult to change formation. Both teams, it really suits the 4-3-3. Spurs don't necessarily play it, but they would be able to just drop from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3. So 4-3-3 is a neutral formation. It felt fair to stick with that. Kulusevski, for me, absolutely deserves, I mean, no doubt to be in there because he's playing a couple of different positions. Maddison, for me, I think you can make a case either way, because the reality is Maddison, whether you like it or not, is not consistent. I really like him, and at his best, he deserves to be in this team. For me, it's so close between Bernardo Silva and James Maddison. And, again, if I had to pick this team again, it might be a different outcome. The point is, we're missing Maddison because he's not here. When Maddison plays well, we want him in this team as well. When Maddison, if he was fit right now, Maddison, he has one good game and two not very good games, then I'd go, Bernardo Silva in here. So if this team at a different time, a different phase, it would be a different answer. And that's City attack again, really confident in there. Again, Kuda's sort of the best, Lanky, all good players, but they're not Cherky, they're not Haaland, and they're not Ansam Semenya. That is the reality. All that's left is to give a score prediction. I love to be positive. I think Spurs get a result. And I don't think you would think, wouldn't you, that easy, even more pressure on Thomas Frank, especially after Dortmund, after Frankfurt, Burnley again just increased it back. So we get rid of Burnley because we get rid of the Dortmund win because just Burnley just eradicate that, unfortunately, for himself. But Frankfurt, I'd say right now he's stable. Spurs fans will be like, oh, yeah, we probably want him gone. That's how the majority of people feel. But it's no longer, oh my God, get out the club. That's changed a little bit. And, fan base are a bit, what I call bipolar, change every game. And the reality is I cannot see a situation where he goes before the end of the year. I'm so confident he'll be in his post to the end of the season. I say this with every manager. I believe in giving them time and patience, but there should be an emergency button on the table, and I don't think it should be pressed yet. But that way, the emergency button is we somehow fall into the bottom three. I can't believe I'm saying this. We'll get risk of that in the next few games, but for now, I think he should be safe and deserves these big fixtures to prove a point. He was a big game manager at Brentford. Will he be a big game manager at Tottenham? So I predict us to win, which will cause some Spurs fans upset, and Arsenal fans will be happy and rub it in. But I think the majority of us should be happy with that, no doubt. So I'm going to be 2-1 Spurs in this game. I think Pat Matessar is going to get them both, and I think he's going to play a key role in the box-to-box midfield. I think we'll dominate that. When I say dominate, I don't think we have all the possession, but I think we'll win the midfield battle. That's what I mean by that. But a massive commie Spurs. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, drop a like and subscribe if you're new and enjoyed it as well. Massive commie Spurs, 4:30 p.m. kickoff on Super Sunday Sky Sports. And stay tuned for all my post-match reaction podcast and video, because the podcast is at 7 p.m. on Sunday instead of Monday, because it's transfer deadline day. So the Monday content will all be Premier League and Spurs base, will be streamed for videos on transfers. Sunday, 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, that's UK time. We're joined by a fantastic panel to review the City wins. So check that out, as well as my post-match reaction before that, about 6:30 p.m. at the Spurs.